This is Boxing Talk 8576. I had just watched 78 do a nice piece on Michael Nunn. He was talking about one of his best middleweight fighters that was not named, Roy Jones or Bernard Hopkins, the easy picks. He said he liked Michael Nunn, and he was given, the history on Michael Nunn, background, and his fights and all that in his career. It was a great piece. Go watch 78 Sports TV's Michael Nunn, one of the best ever. It's called 78 Spotlight. One notable thing I can say about Michael Nunn, about one of my best fighters, which was favorite fighters, which was Sugar Ray Leonard. I heard that Michael Nunn was seeking that fight, and Sugar Ray Leonard did not want that fight. So that's a little piece in there. But I'm gonna talk about another middleweight that I came across. I wasn't really looking at boxing that much, in the 80s, the late 80s, middle 80s. I was looking at random fights with my uncles and them, but I really wasn't into boxing at that time. But I was watching fights with my uncles and them because they always had the fights on. But a couple months ago, I was looking at the best middleweights, of the 80s. And I came across fighters like Michael Nunn, Mike McCullen, Gerald McCullen, and Julian Jackson and guys like that. And what stuck out to me was Julian Jackson and the power, man, that he was knocking people out, the fashion he was knocking people out. I was like, man, this guy is good. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, what if I was just doing like little things in my head, like, man, what if this guy was fighting today in the middleweight division? What would he do? And I just started looking at some of Julian Jackson fights. His trainer was that guy, Aaron Snowell, the same guy that was in Mike Tyson's corner when Mike Tyson lost against Buster Douglas. When he used the N-Swell, that famous glove, put some cold water in the glove, because he said you have to use a cold complex to, get the swelling down out of the eye, and that's, everybody know that. Just go look at the Buster Douglas fight, you will see the guy in the corner. But that was his trainer. But Julian Jackson's career started off, he was 29-0 before he faced the great Mike McCullen for his first shot at the world title, a major world title. He was challenging him for the WBA championship. He was KO'd in round 2 after he came out doing good. He actually had Mike McCullen hurt in the first round. But in the second round, Mike McCullen got him up against the ropes, throwing a barrage of punches, and the referee came in and stopped the fight. And that was his, he lost his chance to win his first major title. But he really rebounded after that, man. He won his next 17, 18. He won his next 18 fights, 17 by KO, and he won the vacant WBA title against a guy, and he knocked that guy out in, I think, round 3, and it was a Chinese guy. I can't really pronounce his name, but he knocked him out in round number 3 in devastating fashion, and that was Julian Jackson's career. He knocked guys out in devastating fashion, man. I mean, like, to sleep and not getting up for a while. But yes, he won his first major title, the WBA vacant title. It was vacated by Mike McCullen after he moved up to middleweight. So he went on a nice little run, man. He knocked out Terry Norris. Terry Norris, the Hall of Famer Terry Norris, who also himself was a hard puncher. And Terry Norris, at the time, him and Terry Norris were both young fighters, man. You need to go see that fight. If you haven't seen that fight, go watch that fight, man, between him and Terry Norris. That was a devastating knockout. He knocked out Terry Norris. He hit him so hard with the right hand that Terry Norris was standing up. He had to hit him again for Terry Norris to fall. Just go look at the fight. You will see the fight. Terry Norris was actually doing good in the fight, and he just got caught by that right hand. He was moving backwards into the ropes, and you don't move backwards against a puncher, especially a hard puncher like Julian Jackson, man, which he found out, he had to find out the hard way. He got hit by that famous right hand. Julian Jackson had crazy power in his right hand. Yeah, man, that was a devastating knockout. Then he knocked out this guy. He knocked out this one guy, Harold Graham. When he hit him, man, he hit him with the left hook. And then the guy was falling, and Julian Jackson moved his arm down as the guy was falling. It was crazy, man. It was funny. He was showboating. He showboated in that fight. That was a crazy, devastating knockout, man. Crazy. No, not that. That wasn't Harold Graham. Harold Graham is the one he hit with the left hook. That's the guy that tried to trade left hooks with him and hit him with that left hook, and that guy was asleep for a while. Yeah, that was a Harold Graham knockout. This knockout was this guy named Buster Drayton. That was the guy that he knocked out with the left hook, that he did put his arm down, and the guy fell as Julian Jackson's arm was going down. He was mocking the guy falling. But yeah, that Harold Graham, both of those fights. But the Harold Graham fight, go see that fight too, because that's a must-see fight. They both threw left hooks, traded left hooks, and you don't trade a left hook with a left hooker. That's a prime example. Don't trade a left hooker, trade a left hook with a left hooker. He caught this guy so hard. He caught Graham so hard with the left hook, man. The guy's eyes rolled in the back of his head before he even fell. Go see the fight. I urge people to go see Julian Jackson fights, period. Because he had some crazy fights, man. And then he had some good title defenses. I think he had about 5 or 6 title defenses of that WBA title before he fought another hard puncher, Gerald McCullough. This was the conventional wisdom back then, man. All these guys can punch. Terry Norris, Mike McCullough, Gerald McCullough, Julian Jackson, and it's others. There was, man, the middleweight division was so crazy back then, man. It was like being in a car crash. People got knocked out, man. I'm serious. People got knocked out cold. They were knocking each other out. But he faced Gerald McCullough. Gerald McCullough was a heavy puncher. He was out of Chicago. He was the one that fought Nigel Benn. And remember, in the ring, Nigel Benn was knocking each other down. He actually knocked Nigel Benn outside the ring, and Nigel Benn got back in to knock him out. And he suffered some type of brain injury, and he has not been the same since. He's he's really, really bad. Roy Jones do give money to Gerald McCullough, because Gerald McCullough was friends, and I don't know if any other boxer gives money, but I know Roy Jones gives him money to for his medical bills and all that stuff. But yeah, Gerald McCullough knocked Julian Jackson out, and that was the end of his title run. He knocked him out in the 5th round. And then Julian Jackson won like 3 more fights after that, and then he had a rematch with Gerald McCullough, and he got knocked out earlier than in this fight. He got knocked out in the 1st round. But man, my hat's off to Julian Jackson, man, because he gave as good as he took. Because he was also okay. He KO'd a lot of people, and he was also KO'd 6 times himself. He was one of those guys he had a mindset that I'm going to destroy you or you're going to destroy me. And I like those type of fighters, man. He did have he wasn't one of those hit me, I hit you type fighters. No. He had great skill. It was just guys back then, those guys can fight, those guys can punch, and he just he fought it. I mean, that's when the time when I believe guys just fought everybody. Nobody really, people did, not fight this fighter and this fighter, but it's not happening on the scale that it's happening on now. Guys back then, those guys fought each other. A lot of those guys mix and match and fought each other, knocked each other out, came back, got knocked out. It was just, man, even the contenders back then, you can go look at one of Terry Norris' fights. He fought this one white guy. I forgot the guy's name, man, but I seen the fight. Terry Norris, I believe Terry Norris was in his hometown. Terry Norris was a big favorite, and that fight went tooth and nail, and that guy was hurting him. He was hurting that guy. I forgot the name of that fighter, but anybody in the comment section, leave a comment below about that fighter. But if you want to leave anything else about Julian Jackson that I left out, just leave a comment below. Man, yeah, Julian Jackson was that dude, man. But I'm gonna come back with another fighter, down the road. But leave comments below, like, comment, subscribe, and shout out to 78 for starting this little, looking back at other past great fighters, so we can get into some dialogue of not only today but past fighters. If you don't know, if you wasn't born back then, you can go do research like I did on Julian Jackson. Everything is on YouTube. You can go look at. All you do is just look at a fighter, look at his fights at YouTube, and then they usually give backstories on the fighters, and then you can start beginning to get the way that the fighter, came through his career. You can start seeing fights that you didn't see, and you can get a good, a good notion of how the fighter was back in his career. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. This is Boxing Talk 8576. I'm out.